Let's transition to the NFC. Let's talk about Micah Parsons' comments on Jalen Hurts. So Micah Parsons this week was on the Voncast podcast, and he had some interesting things to say about Jalen Hurts. Take a listen.
Is it Hurts or the team?
I think it's a little bit of both, man. I think
It's system and team.
I think it's a little bit of both, man, because they got a great offensive line, which helps Hurts. Hurts has AJ Brown and Devonta Smith. They got a good running game.
I mean, Miles Sanders.
They scheme that they have.
O-line.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, like
And this Eagles Cowboys coming up, ain't it?
yeah, it's coming up. I'm not trying to make no enemies. I just love the game so much, and I understand it so much that I can't. I when things are off, I just can't hold it in. I almost gotta say something.
Yeah, you're right. They got a great team, great defense.
But everyone has their own opinions.
But they got Jalen Hurts is
he's good.
Micah Parsons had some comments about your success and whether it was more attributed to yourself or team and scheme. Curious to get your thoughts on that.
We're worried about the Bears right now.
That was Micah Parsons on the Voncast podcast earlier this week, and that was Jalen Hurts responding to Micah Parsons. So, first and foremost, let me be very, very clear about how I feel about Micah Parsons and his comments on Jalen Hurts. Ladies and gentlemen, I loved his comments. I absolutely love Micah Parsons' comments on Jalen Hurts. And let me explain why. This is what competition is all about. And it's not like Micah Parsons is not going to get a chance to face Jalen Hurts, because Christmas Eve night, the Philadelphia Eagles are in Dallas to take on the Dallas Cowboys, and I can't wait for that matchup. If anything, Micah Parsons' comments, it builds up the hype for this matchup next weekend in Dallas. And they're going to get a chance to face one another because, a lot of times in sports, we compare quarterbacks. We compare Tom Brady. We compare Aaron Rodgers when they face off against each other. We compare Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. But realistically and honestly, the quarterbacks don't get a chance to face off against each other. But Parsons and Hurts get the chance to face off against each other next weekend in Dallas and possibly again in the postseason, because both the Philadelphia Eagles and the Dallas Cowboys are going to be in the playoffs. So I love it from a competition standpoint. And if anybody can have something to say about Jalen Hurts, it's Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons so far this year, he got 57 tackles, 12 sacks on the season. For his career, he got 141 total tackles, 25 sacks. He's the second coming of Lawrence Taylor. Micah Parsons is big time. I've watched games where he has literally dominated opposing teams' offensive lines. Seriously. So I love the fact that he made these comments. It just makes Eagles Cowboys on Christmas Eve that much more of a must watch, because we know these two teams hate each other. They are NFC East rivals. Jalen Hurts versus Dak Prescott on Christmas Eve in Dallas. Howie Roseman, the general manager for the Eagles, is going to be there. Jerry Jones is going to be there. Doesn't get much better than that. Doesn't get much better than that. But with these comments, I actually understand where Micah Parsons is coming from, because the Eagles and the Cowboys played against each other earlier this year in Philly. This was week 6 at Lincoln Financial Field. And in that game, the Cowboys defense, they held Jalen Hurts to only 155 passing yards. He went 15 of 25, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. His passer rating was 104.6. So he didn't even have 200 passing yards in that game. So Micah Parsons believes that Cowboys defense can contain Jalen Hurts. That's how he feels. And I understand where he's coming from, given the fact that we've already seen that Eagles offense versus that Cowboys defense in week 6. So I'm definitely excited for it. But when you look at the other side, you look at Jalen Hurts, who is leading the NFL MVP race. In my opinion, Jalen Hurts for the season, he has 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 3,157 passing yards. He's completed 68% of his passes, but that ain't where his strength is, because we know Jalen Hurts is a playmaker, but he's also great at being able to run the football as the quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. For the season, Jalen Hurts has 686 rushing yards on 139 rushing attempts, 10 touchdowns. So Jalen Hurts is leading the MVP race, and he's playing at a high level right now. He really, really is. And I think that he has elevated his game to being a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Remember, coming into the season, we had questions about whether or not Jalen Hurts could be the franchise quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles for future seasons to come. Because you look at his numbers and his quarterback record in 2020 and 2021. And 2020, he only started in 4 games, 6 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,061 passing yards, completed 52% of his passes. But last year, he led the Eagles to the playoffs with an 8-7 record. They were the 7th seed last year in the NFC playoffs. Last year, he had 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 3,144 passing yards, completing 61% of his passes. So we've seen during the 3 years where he's played quarterback, Jalen Hurts has ascended each year. And if you had questions about whether or not Jalen Hurts is the franchise quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward after this season, Jalen Hurts has answered those questions. And the Philadelphia Eagles now have them a dude at the quarterback position. Seriously, I love what I've seen from Jalen Hurts this year. Now, we know that the Philadelphia Eagles as an offense, they got A.J. Brown at receiver. They got Devontae Smith. They got Miles Sanders in the backfield. So that's speaking to Micah Parsons' point about their team around him. But 2 things can be true. The Philadelphia Eagles can have the right pieces in place for Jalen Hurts to be successful as a quarterback, but also Jalen Hurts can be an elite quarterback that can take this Eagles team far in the playoffs, and they can be true Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. 2 things can be true now, Micah. So I want Micah to understand that. I understand where he's coming from 100%. But I think some of these questions about Jalen Hurts will be put to bed once we get to the playoffs. Because right now, when you look at the NFC, you got to say that the Philadelphia Eagles are the favorites in the NFC overall as a conference. I don't believe in the Cowboys, even though I love Micah Parsons. And again, Micah Parsons is more than qualified to say what he said about Jalen Hurts. It ain't like Micah Parsons is the 53rd man on the roster, or he's not the best player on their football team, because Micah Parsons is big time. He is the best player on the Dallas Cowboys football team. It ain't Dak Prescott. It ain't CeeDee Lamb. It damn sure ain't Ezekiel Elliott. It's Micah Parsons. So he's more than qualified to say what he said about Jalen Hurts. But I don't believe in the Cowboys as a true contender in the NFC. The Cowboys always underachieve in the playoffs. The 49ers, I love their team from top to bottom. I think they have the best defense in the NFL. But Debo is out for a few weeks. We don't know if Brock Purdy is going to be able to keep his game up at a high level for the 49ers as they get closer to the playoffs. I don't believe in the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins always folds in big games. And defensively, that Vikings pass defense is one of the worst in the NFL. So it's going to be interesting in the NFC, but I think right now the Eagles have to be the favorites, considering everything that has happened in the first 14 weeks. But I love Micah Parsons' comments because I love competition, and it only makes the Cowboys-Eagles matchup on Christmas Eve that more exciting to watch. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at WiseGuys_H, also on Facebook, Wise Guys. And be sure to follow Wise Guys at Instagram at These Guys Know Sports. Coming at the break, I'm going to give my NFL Week 15 Wise picks. I'll be right back.